XCOM 2 is the sequel to a turn-based strategy game, XCOM Enemy Unknown. If you haven't played XCOM Enemy Unknown, I recommend playing it first because of how incredible the game was. In XCOM 1, you play as a militarized organization known as XCOM, whose responsibility is to respond to the new alien threat and to defend its supporting countries. You play as the commander of XCOM, and you control the management of the XCOM base as well as commanding the squad of task force operatives that you are given to fight the aliens. Over the course of the game, the aliens ramp up their invasion and begin abducting civilians and performing terror attacks on the common populace. This segues into XCOM 2, which is the storyline where XCOM has been defeated and terminated, and the commander has been put into a stasis pod being used by the aliens for strategic planning. XCOM has been pushed out of the picture and is now setting up small rebel attacks against a now governing alien nation called Advent. A series of small groups have still been resisting the aliens, but the general populace has been subdued and is part of the governing alien government. The first mission highlights the retrieval of the commander and segues into XCOM being restarted by the resistance that is fighting the alien tyranny. Similar to the way the first game was, but now it's different because instead of the locations of the buildings granting bonuses, you can now manage the base by assigning different engineers and scientists to prioritize certain projects that will help your soldiers in battle. Also, you can now make several upgrades by spending your supplies or credits on certain buildings such as the power supply or the communications relay. This is done by either spending supplies or intel. Supplies and intel in XCOM 2 are the new sets of currency. Supplies is what you use to purchase the equipment and develop armor, while intel can be used to trade with the resistance or to contact other resistance groups. There is also a death counter. Just like in XCOM 1, the death counter was XCOM would be terminated if the supporting countries panicked and withdrew their support. In XCOM 2 now, there is a countdown, which is the aliens finishing the Avatar project. And I'm not going to go into the plot spoilers, but all you really need to know is that you have to delay the Avatar project, otherwise XCOM will become completely wiped out. The equipment in the game is similar to the first, whereas you can individually equip things onto your soldiers and individually select what you want them to hold. But now in the engineering part of the game, you can when you upgrade and buy certain upgrades, it will say squad upgrade, and you can basically equip it onto the whole squad instead of just having to rebuy it and getting the frustrating moment where you already have bought the first one, but now you lack the resources to get more, so you can't even equip your whole squad. There are now new enemies, which are very cool, and there's new armor ratings. Some of the armors will give you an armor plating that will stop base damage. These can be very useful if you want to use a heavy in the front, and if you have certain people that you want to dictate all the damage to. There's also some shields that can be used to block a limited amount of damage, but generally they only block at least one shot. Or XCOM Enemy Unknown was that you could get different classes for your squad, such as Sniper, Assault, and Psi Operative. Now they've revamped it, and there's 5 new types. These consist of Grenadier, Ranger, Sharpshooter, Specialist, and Psi Operative. Ranger is the close quarters type, which has high mobility and is useful for recon on the field. Sharpshooter is the new Sniper class, and it contains some of the old mechanics, but now they've mixed in some new mechanics. Specialist is a new support class with a new hacking mechanic. You can now have an alien tech that flies around and provides healing and defensive bonuses on allies, as well as it can also be used as an anti-robotic unit, providing extra damage on enemy units and double damage to robots. Psi Operative, now instead of having a Psi Operative which would be on top of another class, now is separate entirely. You have to train them from the beginning. They can use different side powers than in the first game, but I think it's been more rebalanced and is less funky with the way that some of the mechanics work. So now the base moves. Now the base itself moves, and it can be used to get special missions and provide extra resources that are important for supporting the XCOM project. now even the weapons are customizable. They can be given different patterns, different colors, which work well with character customization, but they can also receive attachments that improve aspects like damage and critical chance. Not only has the customization become much more customizable, but soldiers can be saved in the lineup and can appear in future games. So you can run one game through, and then you can be in the next one, and the same soldiers will appear if you select them to appear in the lineup for the characters. Customization now allows you to change, and I've seen a lot of different people online. They took pictures, and they've just like made characters from actual like movies and stuff and other games, and it's kind of cool how you can kind of customize the game and make it your own. In the old game, you begin to like develop a relationship with the soldiers in the game because you would rely on them mission after mission, and with the permadeath on, when they'd actually die, you'd be like, oh, how am I gonna do this? Because your best guy just got wiped out by some sectoid fire, and it's all over. In XCOM Enemy Unknown, many people remember the chrysalids. Well, it's back, and it's now chrysalid swarms, and they can make these chrysalid pods that pop out more chrysalids for all of your soldiers to get ripped apart from. They're very. If you see a chrysalid, just run. Just run. A nice change to the game is that now you can call down the Sky Ranger and withdraw soldiers during a mission. They don't have to just sit there and bleed out. You can actually move them and actually pick them up with the other soldiers. They can also, when you're going to go into the Sky Ranger, you can first dash into the drop zone and still evacuate without having any more actions remaining. And this will prevent the occurrence where you'd run into the drop zone and you wouldn't be able to get out because you'd lose all of your actions. Overall, I'd say XCOM 2 is a pretty decent game. You should try looking into it.